10 ways to work a lot without losing creativity. 1. Take a vacation every 3 months. The most effective method is to carve out a week for a vacation, admits venture capitalist Brad Feld. My wife Amy and I go to the airport and fly somewhere far away. I leave my computer at home and give my smartphone to my wife. She only gives it back to me at the end of the vacation. On the way home, we always head to a quiet, peaceful place, but still travel rather than just stay home for a week. On a trip, I can spend 100% of my time relaxing and talking with my wife. I spend days reading books, talking, having fun, and sleeping until lunch. Coming back from such a vacation, I feel refreshed. 2. After completing the project, take a retrospective. The presidential campaign had a really great team dynamic, which relied to some degree on retrospective meetings after the completion of a certain project. These allowed us to stop and tell each other, how did we do this? What did we do right? What could we have done better? What went wrong? Recalls former Obama campaign technical director Harper Reid. Since then, we always practice such a retrospective to immediately see what went wrong, who was right and who was not, and this has become an incredibly valuable practice. It is very important that everyone is aware of how things are going and that everyone shares their impressions as quickly as possible so as not to lose the relevance of the moment. People sometimes forget that work can also cause pain. We have feelings and it is important to express them in time. If you are in a room with your colleagues and say to them, "Okay, we start tomorrow. How do you feel? Are you ready for this?" They can answer, "I don't want to do this," or "I'm tired of our hard work, and it was stressful for me, but I'm proud of what we have achieved." We, humans, need a real human conversation about real feelings. 3. Write every day. I'll often advise people to write to get to know themselves, as it has helped me so much, says best-selling author Cheryl Strayed. I use writing for various purposes, of course. I write as a fiction writer, but I also write when I need to make a difficult decision or try to start a task. I think even if someone isn't a writer, they will write during a crisis situation. For example, someone who has abandoned their diary for a few years after a breakup might start writing again. This happens because the practice of writing can clearly show your thoughts. 4. Create a database of interesting people. The Interesting People Fund is a pre-work strategy. By investing time and money into connecting with interesting people, you increase your chances of achieving your goals, says writer and entrepreneur Ben Kasnick. Many know they need useful contacts, but as soon as the opportunity to treat someone to lunch arises, they find themselves unprepared in terms of long-term relationship building. If you don't find someone who will be useful to you in the long run, you are wasting your time. Relationships, whether romantic or professional, take time to develop. A lot of time to hasty development of relationships for a one-off deal can jeopardize the potential for further interaction. 5. Keep ready projects on hand. At any project, there comes a point when you get stuck, and in such a situation, it's best to step away from the computer even for 10 minutes, reminds designer Sarah Feltsky. If you clear your mind, ideas will come sooner. Any exercise or meditation will help with this. In addition, I always have a bunch of interesting things at hand that I collect. Magazine clippings, invitation cards that I liked, beautiful packaging. In general, everything that can inspire me. There are special books full of visual works, not united by a common theme. They can be flipped through when you need ideas. 6. Spill out. When it comes to sleep, I take a very hard line. Journalist Pat Kierman admits you have to learn to say no when you go to work in the morning. You need to be well rested and healthy, so it's worth resisting the temptation to go to all the parties you're invited to. 7. Imagine what should happen in the future. Once, I helped myself in the following way. I wrote an article for the Financial Times or Wall Street Journal about my company in the future, says Rafa founder Simon Mottram. Usually people write, I'm going to try to achieve, but in 2005, I wrote that Rafa had already achieved great success by 2010, and this helped me make it a reality. We revolutionized the bicycle market, led the market. 25,000 customers met in our bicycle cafes, gathered there to go somewhere together. I didn't write that maybe we would achieve this. I described it as if it had already happened, and 5 years later it turned out exactly as I predicted. 8. Brainstorming in the bar. Don't just do sketches in the studio. I go to the bar, restaurant, park, and sit there for an hour and a half, says designer James Victor. It's become a habit to leave the studio at 4 or 5 single quotes clock in the evening and sit in the bar with a beer, mentally working on a new idea. It's really a good habit. I can't do analytical work in the studio. There's too much going on in one place. How many great architectural masterpieces were designed on napkins? It happened because people were free in their thoughts, free from mundane work. 9. Get out of your comfort zone. Don't think you need to sit in an office and stare at a blank page, says radio presenter Harrison Kello. Better to walk around the room. Go outside and make notes of what you can observe. You'll start to associate the things you see with the things you think about, and that will be the start of a new article. I think it all eventually starts in the realm of the observable world. With overheard conversations, glimpsed events, there's a good chance that by listening in on someone's conversation, you'll come to an interesting thought. 10. Use morphological synthesis. Morphological synthesis is a way to break down your thought process into segments. Take 4 to 5 adjectives and then start a mental blitz in their direction. Actor and director Z. Frank shares his secret to productive work. Usually when I get an idea, I consciously reject the feeling of measure. For example, when Procter & Gamble released a new toilet paper, I tried to come up with a concept regardless of its scale and realism. Subscribe, and let's build a success mindset together.